Thanks, everyone. Welcome here. It's a pleasure for us to have you in this side event. I would like to start calling our speakers to join me. This is okay. So I'll start with Rashid Montassier, then I will briefly present you all. Sheam Satkuru, Zainab Arabene, and Marco Armellino. And there will be another speaker who will join us in a few minutes. Is still in a side event in another pavilion, but is coming. So as I say, thank very much to join us in this dialogue and new experiences for climate action and the care of the planet. It is a side event which is hosted in the Italian pavilion, so thankful to the Ministry of Environment of Italy. It's a side event which is co-promoted by UNDP Youth4Climate and by Cambio Io Cambio il Mondo, which is promoted by the Istituto Buddista Italiano Soka Gakkai and supported by the funds from 8 per 1000. Cambio Io Cambio il Mondo is I change, the world changes. It simply means that when I change, when each of us has a personal transformation, this transformation can determine miracles. And from our own determination, one's own determination, everything can start to change and to move in a positive direction. So it's the idea that pushed us to promote also this meeting, but the campaign in general and the organization of our initiative is to raise awareness on climate crisis, and to change determination of the person, not to be stopped by fear, not to be too worried, not to give up, but to transform your fear, your anger, in determination for change. And so to start, make actions, individual actions, small actions. Small actions repeated can become really a huge mountain. So without further delay, I would say a few words on you all, and then I will present you with the first floor, with the first question. This will help me to present you all. So, Rashid Montassier is one of the awardees of the Youth4Climate Sparking Solution in the section food. Is young from Morocco. Is a community leader, so very engaged, very innovative, very engaged in promoting climate change awareness and the improvement of the condition of young people in Morocco. Sheam Satkuru, she's from Malaysia. She's the executive director of the International Tropical Timber Organization, the first female executive director, the first woman to has this role in this organization. As you imagine, with a very long expertise on tropical timber, on forest regulation, on trade agreements, on a lot of things. Zainab Arabene, she's an awardee of the Youth4Climate Sparking Solution Initiative. She was awarded for a project on education. She's from Mali, a very strong, capable leader in her own country. And then to Marco Armellino, he's co-founder and president of A World. A World is a platform and an app to support a UN campaign called Act Now to, again, encourage people on individual actions on climate change. And we're very, very lucky because Cedric Akbeshi has just joined us. Cedric is thank you very much. It's just arriving from an event in the Ghana pavilion. Cedric is again an awardee in the Youth4Climate initiative in the sector of energy. He's from Benin, especially interested in biopackaging, how to reuse waste in positive ways. So that's for the presentation. We're going to have 3 very simple questions and a very informal dialogue. And we're going to ask to these people, as you already have noted, I'm sure, they all are remarkable people from different experience and different background. And each of you will have more or less 3 minutes to answer to this question. The first one will be, I should do this. Here we are. How to encourage individual climate action. And I would ask Rashid to go first.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much once again for a priceless opportunity to continues the hope and continues the journey that youth of the world started a long time ago. So again, Rashid Mutasir from Morocco, and the reason I'm here is to share and summarize a long story with my community, with you. And the first thing on my way to here and came to mind, and I really thought about it a lot, is that how we come together like this, and how people are, bringing energies and capacities to be in one place like this. And of course, that's something that the humanity learned after the World War II, is that bringing people together, is that bringing ideas together and energies and capacities and actors together in order for development and for peace building and everything. And so that's exactly my role and my team in Morocco that we're working on since a long time ago. So we bring local members, local community members together, and we provide them opportunities where they can be fully involved in designing and managing their environmental projects and environmental initiatives. And so, of course, priorities are different. So we do that through a participatory approach, community meetings with women, with kids, and farming families in general. So it came up that Moroccan agricultural land, which is used 70% of the Moroccan agricultural land used for growing corn and wheat. Only 15% that these farming families are benefiting from that. So imagine of the waste of these natural resources that we have in that country. And so we came up to the top priority, and which is, of course, was common priority among every community members, that we have to grow a tree nursery that provides organic fruit trees to the community, but also should be trees that they don't require pesticides, and the trees that will give revenue in the future for these communities. Now, of course, the idea came up, and everything that we together built, it came up that the best place to implement this project will be a school. And a school in Morocco, to have an access to school, to do a project such this, is a big challenge. So not everybody, of course, can access a school. Thankfully, we got a partnership with the Ministry of Education, and they give us a school, a primary school in a rural area where kids will be open to not only, of course, education, but also to an environmental education system by being involved in this organic fruit tree nursery in their school that will provide about 150,000 organic fruit trees to the community and also to the schools nearby. 80% will go with a symbolic price to farming families in the region, and the rest will go for free to the schools. So in order, of course, to empower and help contribute in empowering the women, we thought about inviting the women to have a space in that project, in that initiative in the school, to grow their medicinal plants and start their women cooperatives. So everything is ready. We're happy that we got the project. Very last point is that the bridge that Youth4Climate build is to provide this amazing support to this project. So thank you very much for believing in the project, and thank you very much for the reminder that local communities, they also have hope and they also have project ideas.
Thank you very much, Rashid. We knew that 3 minutes would be really a challenge. But you're going to have two other chances. Same question to Sheam. I hope everyone, may I call you by personal names? Okay, second question to Sheam.
Buonasera a tutti e grazie, è un piacere essere con voi stasera. And konbanwa to my Japanese colleagues, and good evening to those who don't speak Italian or Japanese. From my experience, I grew up around the forests. I grew up in the most remote areas in Malaysia that people could possibly imagine. So we had children from all walks of life who went to school together. And as you grow up, you realize how privileged your background can be. I come from a very modest background, by the way. Nobody's rich in my family, but they all worked hard. And it was more a case of understanding the difficulties and the challenges that these children would face as we grew into young adults. And I went to law school, my dears. I'm not a forester. But going to law school and working in the corporate sector makes you think, the natural resources sector needs a lot of help. Because they were either not aware or there wasn't sufficient pressure. I'm not so young either. So we're talking about 35 years ago. And there was this need to educate, raise awareness, link the sectors. Unfortunately, 35 years ago, all the sectors used to very much work in silos. So the mining sector, the commercial sector, the corporate sector, the environmental sector, the community sector, they were all working on their own different aims and objectives. And one of the things that I felt was so necessary was to connect and link all of them, because that's what makes a nation. And in order to progress, although as a girl who entered a very man-dominated industry, it was actually quite fun. It was good. You just need to be strong. So you talk about forest and climate resilience, but we need girl resilience also in those particular areas, you know, and you just need to know your stuff. That's one thing. And as much as I encourage individual action, what dawns is that collective action is more effective. You can have your individual aims and objectives, align them with the aims and objectives and purposes that you're all wanting to achieve, and make it a collective action. You get there in the end.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Sheam. Next to Marco, please.
So thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here, and very interesting to listen to these stories. I agree with this point, because I think that when we thought about creating a world in 2019, our idea was to try to create a platform, a way to educate people. This is because of our story, so maybe later I will share the story from the beginning very briefly, but was about our story, so to try to engage people to reduce their impact, but before reducing, to understand their impact, because the real problem is the knowledge. We don't have knowledge of the impact of our daily action. And so creating community is for sure one of the brightest idea, because people need to feel that they're not alone in this path of change in their life. And the other way is to try to educate people by telling them stories, real stories of people that has been able to change, and project that has been able to make a difference in the world. So we use storytelling to try to educate people, engage people, and we use small action they can take on a daily basis to try to measure their impact and really understand the importance of change. So this is what we use technology for this. And why we use technology? Because we know that we spend a lot of time with our smartphone in our hand. So it's not good, but it's where people basically spend a lot of time. We are not a platform or an app that you have to use for 1 hour a day, like Instagram or TikTok. A couple of minutes are more than enough in order to be inspired and try to change your lifestyle.
Thank you, Marco. Then to Zainaba.
Thank you, Stella, and thank you for the invitation. I'm sorry to start by my English is not good. I'm Francophone. So in Mali, I'm the president of the Italian Young Network for Climate. And to encourage the individual action, we concentrate on community-level awareness and education by raising awareness about the local impacts of climate change and demonstrating how daily action can make a difference. We inspire a significant change. So, for example, each year, our members plant a list on tree at home or elsewhere. And you organize cleanliness activities in public spaces, such as markets, public squares, or even hospitals. These activities led the then Malian Prime Minister, who was a political movement leader at the time, to mobilize youth and personality, clean up a public space after a peaceful march. So in essence, we inspire change by showing how every small gesture contributes to a greater cause. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanaba. And Cedric.
Yeah,
It's your turn.
thank you. I'm going to greet all people who are here, and I will also again thank you for this opportunity you take for youth to speak. For about your quiz, how to encourage individual action. According to me, I think that it is we need to be the inspiration for another person to encourage the individual action. So my situation, I start to work on climate action when in my 10 age, I accompanied my mother to on Darling 10 kilometers to collect firewood for cooking. And 7 years ago, she was very, very sick to do the explosion of smoke. And this situation was very affected me, and I tried to do the research, and on the internet I find that per year 7 million of persons dead about the pollution of air indoor and outdoor. So I say it is very dangerous. So we need to do something. So this situation take me to work on energy cooking sector, and the last point who take me action is that in my community they have a woman, half of woman who try to process groundnut, peanut, I don't know if you know, yeah, to local cake. So this activity require more than firewood. They use per year more than 245,000 tons of wood per year. So it is enough, and our government prohibits since 2016, yes, 2016, they prohibit the using of the cutting of wood on the forest. So this situation create another problems of the economic activity. And one day she tell me, you are intellectual, you say you are young, you are we have this problem, how do you help us? And I take it, I say, it is an opportunity to work. And in this case, this is the mean of my individual action I make on my areas. We have many individual action, but I think that the time is very slow. But I think that the essential is to inspire our peer for our action. So that is what I can say. Thank you.
That was absolutely perfect. Thank you to all for sharing these brilliant experiences with all of us. Before going to the second question, I would like to announce that we're going to have a special respondent. Agostino Enguscio is the UNDP Rome Center coordinator of the Rome Center for Climate Action and Energy Transition, but we will listen to him later. I just wanted to mention it. So now we would like to hear your opinion on this, how to unite people and reach a critical mass for systemic change. And we start from Rashid again.
One of the things that most of people actually slip their mind is the decentralization, and at least in our case in Morocco, there is a huge law on decentralization in the paper, but never in reality. And so, in order to first have the power to decide, and have the power and the opportunity to think and express as free as you want, it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of time. So that means going back all the time to the center, going back to the capital to decide. And so one of the very important keys to reflect that decentralization as a key for uniting people is to start from the base, and the base is the local communities, is the schools, are the university students. And so simply if we invest in university students, just to on one hand to go back to their communities and apply the participatory approach and training on their backgrounds, what they're studying, they be fully involved in building a project proposal. But not only that, it's also being involved in the trust with their communities, because building a trust with a community or a school or any beneficiary part, it does also take time, it does also take energy. So in order to unite that, let's invest in these youth people and these university students, that they go back to their communities and bring up their top priorities and their needs. And believe me, it's like a rock. When you throw a rock in the middle of a lake and it makes this circle, it does really touch on everybody's and all the communities surrounding. So the united, it comes from the local communities to the top.
Start from local communities to build a critical mass. Sheam, what's your point on this?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I think my answer would be very similar to Rashid's answer right now. Awareness raising is so important. Education comes second. Actually, there's no order of first or second. The awareness raising, education, engagement, strong engagement, explanation of what the benefits can be, making local communities and the society in general actually to understand what is it that you're striving for. That will then include capacity building, it includes training. I mean, in the forestry sector, that's how you get the people and the communities who are dependent, forest dependent, and also the processing industries. A lot of people always think the forestry sector is, simple, straightforward. No, actually, no, it's not. You have the indigenous peoples, you have the local communities, you have the communities that are living in the cities adjacent to forests. There is the formal sector, there is the informal sector. All of this network needs to be connected, and they need to have the big picture. Yeah. And then you take it down with all the elements that Rashid just mentioned.
Great.
I don't think I have anything additional to add to that.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Great, thanks. So awareness raising, know what you're fighting for. That's it. Marco.
So again, I agree.
I'm so sorry, these 3 minutes are very challenging. That's it.
I absolutely agree with this. So local community are very important, but we also, in our experience, so we are a digital platform mainly, so we need to try to go also not only to local community, but to more broad community. So what we try to do is to also connect with people in their work environment. So we work with companies that want to engage their employees or that want to engage their clients. And luckily, people want to be engaged on this kind of topic more and more on the work environment as a customer, and also as a, maybe community of related to the cultural events or sports events. So we had the chance to work with some musicians in Italy, like for example Elisa. We follow her tour last year with more than 35 locations, so around Italy. And then we had the chance to engage with, for example, a big sport event like ATP Finals in Torino, with Serie A, and with other big events. So it's not easy because also the event organizer have to push a little bit on the people in order to show the initiative, and also the athlete and the artist. But when you have someone that is really engaged, for example, again, like Elisa, we have been able to reach 2 million action in a few months by individual people, engaging more than 100,000 people in 2 years. So it's something that can happen, and for sure people are searching this kind of engagement to feel that they are not alone in this change.
Great, so people want to be engaged. That's a very good message. Sanaba.
Okay, so for me, uniting people towards the critical mass needed for systematic change is a challenge. We address this by fostering inter-community collaboration, creating partnership and sharing success to inspire others to join our common cause. By establishing local partnership, sharing success, like I say, and lesson learned, we create synergy that transcend borders and lead to stronger collective action. So climate change knows no borders, and neither should be the solutions. We must act and act together. So last November, the Malian government, in collaboration with UNDP, organized the first climate, peace and security regional forum with environmental ministers of Mauritania, Niger, Burkina, and Mali. And following the forum, a commitment of the Sahelian peoples and countries to regional and international collaboration for climate security reorganized and valuing the unique characteristics of the Sahelian region. So for me, the systematic change is about collaboration. Yeah.
Thank you. So collaboration for a change, for a systematic change. Cedric.
Thank you. I think that in add of all they are said, I think that if we want to, we need to have one idea. We need to have one philosophy, and around this philosophy, we need organization. So, for example, in my case, I'm a young mayor of my community, and so before to have this title, we was trying to collaborate with, we was trying to impart the policy of our community, but all of alternative we used to discuss with authority was failing. When we ask, we want to, they don't take care for us, and we come back. We say we are young. We want to engagement of our community. So we was organized on NGO, and we go on the land to do many activity like eco-friendly. Like eco-friendly sensibilization of a community to be responsible. We initiate many projects on food sustainability for ecological agriculture. And when we do all of this and we communicate about it, they look that they have a young in the areas, and they impart the community. So we need to work with these young. If not, they can be they can have the power over. So this organization help us now to work with our local authority, and in practical. Last week, we have finalized the elaboration of local program of development. local program of development. That is the strategy of development of community. And this activity, we was doing a survey of young to take their opinion for policy, for what they need for life, for and so on and so forth. So this we use this to do the feedback of the authority, and there we was proposed a great project on transition energy sector. We propose a project on to evaluate for each project. We need to evaluate the environmental impact before to do this. We propose project to support the education for agriculture farmer and so on. So I think that for units and risk for critical mass, we need to have a one philosophy, and for this philosophy we need to organize around this philosophy.
Great.
Thank you.
So great. So again, local community. So one philosophy, and then organize a local community around this idea.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for all the insights you are giving us. Now we are coming to the last question. I read it. Hope is the best asset. Could you share how hope helped you win impossible challenges? How can we create hope? How did you manage to create hope inside yourself? This is the very first step to do. Rashid.
Before 2016, as a young Moroccan, my first priority was to leave my country. and so in 2016 there was the COP22 in Marrakesh, and so I was like, okay, well, I had nothing to do with climate change. I grew up in a farm with my mom, who's a farmer. Her and I were surrounded by climate change problems since as a kid. We never thought about that. My mom always tells me it's a cultural thing. 1 year is hot, 1 year is not. So the COP22 came, and I was like, okay, I'm going to participate in this conference, just jumping around, meeting foreign people, and that was the bridge into bringing me back all the way to Rashid, 6 years old, when we're struggling to get a source of water. We're struggling to have our way to schools without the crazy heat. And so it did really build a seed of hope. But of course, how? It built it through the meetings like this. The dialogue, the communication, the sharing stories and ideas and priorities, and of course the diversity of that, the diversity of these priorities, the diversity of needs of people coming all around the world in one place to discuss one common goal. It did really plant deeply the seed of hope in me. And of course, it is, again, after the 2016, it reflected in many small seeds that I tried to plant in schools in Morocco by passing the message of, if you don't really act and resolve the problem of your community, there's going to be nobody else to do that, in order to your kids and your grandchildren will live in a clean planet and a safe place in the world. So, and also, so the seeds of hope came through meetings like this, but also through the story with my mom, the story with my climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheam.
Wonderful answer. Wonderful answer, Rashid.
It was.
Now, rewind 25 years before 2016. 1992 Rio Summit.
Not a long time ago.
Aye. So that was when my interest in the natural resources and the environment began to pick up. Excuse me, coming from a heavily forested country, Malaysia, and the diversity of the communities and the people. We're multiracial, by the way. So there are many different societies that live in Malaysia. And at that time, post-1992, where my country made a commitment to maintain at least 50% of the country's tree cover forests, that is, not planted forests, under natural forest cover. And we were facing the bans on imports of tropical wood products into Europe. And I thought, I'm a trade lawyer, by the way, and that's not a solution. When you impose a ban, it actually generates illegality. It generates the informal sector. It pushes smuggling. It starts a whole new horde of issues. So what gave me the hope that we could do this? We found out that many tropical countries were in the same boat. And if that had been allowed to happen, we would have lost even more of the lost forest areas that we have today. Much more would have been destroyed. At that point, prior to the climate discussions, there wasn't anyone who was prepared to take the blame for destroying tropical forests. Wasn't always the countries that hold tropical forests. Read between the lines, please. This is not a blame game, but there was a shared and joint responsibility. So with that hope needs to come pragmatism based on facts in how to forward the whole situation, take it up to the international level, make everyone talk about it, and find solutions.
Right.
Find workable solutions. That's how my experience revolves around where we are today and how I ended up at the ITTO. Strange. 35 years later, I still love it.
Thank you. Thank you. And to Marco.
So, yes, I think it's the moment I tell my story. So 2018, let's say 2017, I founded. So let's go back in 15 years ago. I founded a communication agency in Italy. We used to develop e-commerce platform, and 10 years later, in 2017, a big company from the US was impressed by some of the project we made, and invited me and my two actual co-partner in A World to join them and to develop an e-commerce in the United States. After 1 month, the company was bought by a big Asian company that used to sell fast fashion, and that was like really something that unexpected. We worked with them because we have a commitment basically for 9 months, but then we saw the impact of what we were what basically fast fashion is. I think you're familiar with fast fashion and with the huge impact on the environment and on people, and so we decided to quit by far the job, very well paid job, the most paid job in my life. We decided to quit, to put all the money we made in that year together and to try to have a positive impact. And we founded A World, that at the beginning was a marketplace, because we were able to create marketplace, obviously a marketplace of sustainable product. But in a few weeks we realized that there were a bigger problem, and the problem was awareness of people about sustainability. And so we transformed the project and we built a platform to guide people to a more sustainable lifestyle by measuring the impact and incentivizing the behavioral change. Was a crazy idea for sure, and all the people telling us, all the people around us was very skeptical about the project. But then it was January. In September, we flew to New York to attend to the Climate Week, and we basically joined all the we applied for all the open event of the Climate Week, and at a random event we met Martina Donlon, that is the head of climate communication at the General Secretariat of the United Nations. And she was impressed by the project, and she decided to ask us to support the Act Now campaign. And so we became the official app of the United Nations. And from that moment on, everything became possible, because now we have this opportunity to work with the biggest organization in the world that are very focused on changing, on fighting the at least the General Secretariat, let's say, to fight the climate change. And so that is the moment when we, against every prediction, we succeed and we started this project. So
thank you, Marco. So action brings hope. If you move, you come in touch with people, and then, right, Senaba, you're giving us incredible encouragement. So thanks again to every one of you. Senaba.
Thank you again, Stella. So I would say hope is the driving force behind my commitment. A concrete example is the Youth4Climate, where I am a champion this year on the theme of climate education. And my project, Green Kids Mali, was selected for funding by UNDP and the Italian Ministry of Environment. So I admit it was very stress on the day of the competition, but I had hope, the hope for a better future for all these children, the hope for a greener, healthier and more sustainable Mali. So now to fund within oneself, this hope within the oneself, it is essential to connect with other passionate individuals who share the same conviction, celebrate small victories, and remember that every action counts in the struggle for a sustainability future.
Thank you, Zenaba. Thank you very much. Cedric.
I think that they see all of importance of hope. Do you know about my ecological project for Kaukol? When we started, they have a local project, a local program who supports young on technical and financial realization of the program. And I applied for this program, and when I go there, I try to explain the project and sharing all of the project. At the end, the first sentence is that your project is irrealizable, is bad. Your project can be possible. I say, oh, all of energy I use, all of what I use, and and the problem is real. So the hope I have on the ideas help me to work again on a project, help me to focus on the project and to take my own money to start to do a prototype of the project. And after the prototype, I was going to the land to do the test. After the test, I have the confirmation of this. And today, I'm very happy because this project was selected by UNDP for implementation. And I think that the hope is one of all we need to do a big thing on this world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cedric. Yeah. So please join me in a big applause to all our speakers, because you really shared with us such valuable insights. And then I ask Agostino Inguscio to share with us his views on this.
$20 minutes or 5?
No, 5 minutes.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for, well, first, hope is also this room, right? So on 8 p.m., incredibly packed. So congratulations, well, first of all, to all our fantastic panelists and to Stella and to all of you. So I really just, it's so difficult to like summarize everything in 5 minutes about this incredible panel, But I would like to start maybe a little bit from the end, right? So from this concept of hope, and really what emerges here for me is that really hope is about, the small things, right? They carry you forward and so forth, right? So here I would like to say that really like what Cedric said, right? So about, this reiterative process of failing and ultimately succeeding is really what, this initiative Youth4Climate is about, right? So the idea here is to really nurture not the next generation, but the current generation of climate shapers and protagonists in their country's economies. And so really for us, it's incredible that finally we could make this work. And really like the ambition is to make this work at scale in a much larger way. And to Zenabe, this question about meeting people, right? And meeting people really gives you hope. I just wanted to say what gave me hope, right, this year. So I joined Youth4Climate a year ago, more or less. And at the beginning, the Rome Center was the secretariat of Youth4Climate. And then we were, alone with some believers. So, for instance, Emanuela Vignola from the Ministry of Environment is here. Roberta Ianna, busy negotiating, I'm sure. And kind of that's it, right? So just like the way that the energy that people can give you really is fundamental to me. And in fact, hope was when Roberta introduced us to Soka Gakkai. And this was very early on, right? So no staff in the UNDP Rome Center, but they liked the idea and they decided to finance the idea through the 8 per 1000 Cambio Io, Cambio il Mondo initiative with 200,000 euros, right? So essentially funding 10 solutions like that. And now we are reflecting on how to give scale to this, right? And so that was a massive amount of hope that then I tried to put back onto the team, right? So I used that also to convince Roxani, who now had to leave for another meeting, to join our team, right? To say, no, actually, yeah, it is developing, it is shaping up. And then another aspect is the fact that we can't reinvent the wheel, right? So the important thing for me about Youth4Climate is the fact that Youth4Climate exists in a very, very strong UNDP ecosystem. I mean, obviously in a very strong global ecosystem, but allow me 1 minute on my organization, which really, like, with its 170 country presence and, a staff of 30,000 people across the world, can really, like, be the connector of these stories, right? So I really see the partnership between the Italian government and UNDP on Youth4Climate is really leveraging on all these catalyzing forces. And so, for instance, what hope is also that Rashid is of course a Youth4Climate champion, but is here thanks to the small grant program that paid for his participation, right? Which is another fantastic flagship of UNDP and the Green Environment Facility, and the same for the colleagues from Benin and from Mali, right? So the fact that then you have country offices that with their own funds decide to invest in these stories and say, okay, you've been awarded a Youth4Climate project, this is great, and we support you to travel to COP to tell this story, right? So I think the power of the synergies, right? The power of the doing things together. So, and here, Verania, Giulia, the colleagues from the Climate Hub of UNDP that, like, keeps it all together, right? So these opportunities are not coincidental, right? So they are about studying what's the landscape like and so forth. And then, Sian, this incredible leadership, right, that you brought here, and really the story about the girl resilience, I think is something that as a father of a 3-year-old daughter who seems very resilient, but I want to nurture that resilience for sure, and of course the importance of the private sector that emerged in Andrea and Hayward's work, right? So all of these really makes me an optimist, I must say, and I like to think that really Soka Gakkai played into my hand of optimism. No, when it wasn't so clear how things were shaping up, they invested in us, and I think I can speak, so Emanuela is here from the Ministry of Environment. I know that even if we are big organizations, in the end it's individuals, a lot that matters, going back to your first question, right? So there is this individual decision to stay committed and then, of course, to work in synergy. And I know that also within a government like Italy, in the end, there are not that many people that decide to push this agenda or another agenda, right? So the fact that then through your work you gave up also to them really reinforces the commitment that then you get from, you know, the next G7 presidency of 2024, right? So we are all excited to see what's in the cards for 2024. And yeah, so very excited to be part of this journey, and thank you so much for the fantastic moderation and, of course, for really pulling together a fantastic event, which is, I must say, the fullest I've seen today in the various side events I've participated. So, thank you.
Big thank you for your commitment, for your courage, for your determination, and from the encouragement you're giving us, and from the hope you make grow this evening too. So thanks again very much, and please join me in thanking them all. So that's it. Yeah, please, let's take a picture together, the speakers, yeah, it would be great.